The ancient observation deck of the Zarkak's flagship hummed with an electric tension. Holographic displays danced with the collected data of 1,000 conquered worlds, each conquest a testament to the hegemony's unbreakable dominance. Grand Archon Krultak studied the blue-green planet that would soon become their latest acquisition, his multiple eyes calculating with predatory precision. Earth hung in space like a fragile marble, seemingly defenseless against the approaching armée. Krultak had seen this scenario play out countless times across the galaxy. Primitive civilizations always responded the same way, with fear, with desperate negotiations, with futile resistance that crumbled beneath the Zarkak's overwhelming technological superiority. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, the Global Defense Command Center told a different story. Colonel Jack Hartley stood before a massive curved display that mapped the approaching alien fleet. His fingers traced the intricate movements of the Zarkak ships, each movement analyzed by a network of quantum computers that hummed with barely contained potential. Beside him, a team of the world's most brilliant strategists and scientists watched in calculated silence. "They're following the standard invasion pattern," remarked Dr. Emily Rodriguez, her voice steady despite the momentous occasion. She was a veteran of the Extraterrestrial Preparedness Program, a global initiative that had been preparing for this moment for decades. Jack nodded, his weathered face a map of concentration. Decades of military service and specialized training in potential alien contact scenarios had prepared him for this moment. The incoming transmission from the Zarkaks was nothing more than a formality, a ritualistic declaration of conquest that had preceded the fall of hundreds of civilizations. The holographic display flickered, revealing the translated message. Its language was a complex algorithm of threat and subjugation, typical of the Zarkak's communication protocols. They demanded complete surrender, promising merciful integration into the hegemony. The terms were absolute. Planetary resources would be seized, population would be categorized and distributed as labor units, and any resistance would be met with total annihilation. "They always say the same thing," muttered Captain Rosa Gonzalez, her fingers dancing across a secondary communication interface. Complete surrender or complete destruction. What the Zarkaks didn't understand was that humanity had been preparing for this moment for far longer than they could imagine. The Global Defense Command Center was more than just a military installation. It was the culmination of humanity's most advanced technological and strategic thinking. Every nation, every research institution, every military branch had contributed to this moment. The superficial global conflicts that had defined human history were nothing more than a carefully constructed facade. Jack turned to Dr. Rodriguez. "Initiate Protocol Omega," he said quietly. A series of encrypted signals began to pulse through global networks. Satellites that appeared to be nothing more than space debris began to reconfigure. Hidden defense platforms, meticulously constructed in orbital factories and disguised as communications arrays, started to align. Quantum communication networks, developed in secret research facilities across the globe, activated their most advanced tracking and defensive algorithms. The Zarkaks believed they were approaching a vulnerable, fragmented planet. They saw a world torn by internal conflicts, with minimal technological capabilities. Their intelligence reports suggested a civilization barely capable of interplanetary communication, let alone serious resistance. They were wrong. "Transmission prepared," announced Captain Gonzalez. Her fingers hovered over the communication interface, ready to broadcast humanity's response to the alien ultimatum. Dr. Rodriguez adjusted her glasses, a slight smile playing on her lips. "They have no idea what's coming." On the flagship, Grand Archon Krultak continued to study the planetary data, confident in the hegemony's inevitable victory. Millions of ships stretched behind his vessel, a testament to the Zarkaks' unbroken record of galactic conquest. Millions of ships that were about to face something they had never encountered before. The blue-green planet waited, calm and seemingly defenseless. But beneath its surface, within its orbital spaces, humanity was anything but unprepared. Every system was primed. Every defense was calculated. Every potential invasion scenario had been wargamed to perfection. The moment of first contact was about to change everything. The research facility was a marvel of hidden engineering, nestled deep within the Nevada desert. From the surface, it appeared to be nothing more than a standard government complex, bland, unremarkable, deliberately designed to blend into the surrounding landscape. But 5 levels beneath the sandy ground, Dr. Emily Rodriguez stood at the heart of humanity's most ambitious technological endeavor. Quantum processors lined the walls, their intricate crystal matrices pulsing with an ethereal blue light. Each processor was a masterpiece of human innovation, capable of performing calculations that would have taken traditional supercomputers millennia to complete. The air thrummed with potential, with the kind of raw technological energy that could reshape the very fabric of human capability. Dr. Marcus Chen, the lead quantum computing specialist, adjusted a holographic display that showed complex algorithmic patterns. The adaptive neural networks are reaching final calibration, he reported, his voice a mixture of excitement and professional restraint. Emily nodded, her fingers tracing the intricate design of the molecular-level nanite control interface. Years of preparation had led to this moment. The Global Preparedness Initiative, a program so secret that even most world governments were unaware of its full scope, had been working for decades to develop a comprehensive defense system. "System diagnostic," she commanded. The room came alive. Holographic displays erupted with cascading data streams. Molecular schematics of nanite swarms rotated in midair, showing their adaptive capabilities. These were not simple machines, but complex systems capable of instantaneous reconfiguration, of learning and adapting faster than any known technological system in the galaxy. A younger researcher, Dr. Amara Williams, approached with a tablet. "The orbital defense platforms are showing full synchronization," she reported. "We've successfully masked their true capabilities behind standard communication array signatures." The plan was multilayered and brilliant in its complexity. To the outside world, and especially to potential alien threats, Earth appeared to be a fractured, technologically primitive planet. Internal conflicts, limited space capabilities, minimal unified defense systems. It was the perfect camouflage. In reality, every seemingly random satellite, every piece of space debris, every communication array was part of an intricate, global defense network. Quantum entanglement had solved the primary challenge of instantaneous communication. Adaptive AI systems could predict and counter threats before they fully materialized. Dr. Chen pulled up a simulation of the potential alien invasion. "Watch this," he said quietly. The holographic display showed millions of nanite units, each no larger than a blood cell, responding to the simulated alien approach. They moved like a living organism, changing shape, reconfiguring their molecular structure to counter every potential threat. Energy dispersal systems, communication jamming protocols, molecular disassembly capabilities, all built into microscopic machines that could swarm and neutralize entire starship systems. The key, Emily explained to a group of senior researchers, is not just technology. It's unpredictability. Traditional military thinking relied on fixed defense systems. Humanity's approach was entirely different. Every system was designed to learn, to adapt, to become something the enemy could never anticipate. The nanite swarms could transform from defensive shields to offensive weapons in microseconds. Communication networks could become impenetrable barriers or channels of strategic misinformation. Colonel Jack Hartley entered the facility, his military precision contrasting with the cutting-edge scientific environment. "Status report," he requested. Emily walked him through the latest developments, orbital platforms that could reconfigure themselves, quantum communication networks that could not be intercepted or decoded, nanite systems capable of dismantling entire technological infrastructures. "We're not just preparing for defense," she explained. "We're preparing to demonstrate humanity's true potential." The colonel studied the holographic displays, his experienced military mind processing the technological marvel before him. Decades of preparing for the unknown had led to this moment. Every global conflict, Every technological race, every seemingly random scientific breakthrough had been part of a larger strategy. Preparation was not just about technology, it was about mindset. As the sun began to set outside, casting long shadows across the desert, the facility continued its silent work. Millions of nano-units waited in compressed stasis. Quantum processors continued their endless calculations. Communication networks hummed with potential energy. The Zarkax thought they were approaching a vulnerable planet. They had no idea what was coming. The Global Misinformation Command Center occupied an unremarkable building in downtown Washington, D.C. From the outside, it appeared to be a standard government administrative office. Inside, it was a nerve center of the most sophisticated psychological warfare operation in human history. Director Helena Reyes studied the holographic displays that mapped global communication networks. Her team consisted of linguists, psychologists, data analysts, and communication specialists from every corner of the globe. Their mission was deceptively simple: make the Zarkax believe humanity was weak, fractured, and technologically primitive. Initiate Phase 2 of the Global Distortion Protocol, she commanded. Screens flickered to life, showing carefully crafted communication streams. Fake diplomatic cables suggested internal conflicts between world governments. Deliberately leaked military documents hinted at technological limitations. Social media networks burst with seemingly authentic discussions about humanity's vulnerability. Dr. Benjamin Cohen, the lead psychological warfare strategist, explained the intricate plan. "We're not just spreading misinformation," he said, pointing to a complex network diagram. "We're creating an entire narrative ecosystem." Each piece of false information was meticulously designed. Data packets contained subtle imperfections that would draw the Zarkax intelligence networks closer. Intentional vulnerabilities were woven into communication channels, like perfectly placed breadcrumbs leading exactly where humanity wanted them to go. In a secured communication hub, Captain Rosa Gonzalez monitored the global disinformation network. Her fingers danced across quantum-encrypted interfaces, managing dozens of simultaneous communication streams. Each false transmission was a carefully constructed piece of art. Scientific misinformation that would lead the Zarkax to fundamentally misunderstand human capabilities. "Intercepted Zarkax communication analysis," announced a junior analyst. "They're consuming our false data at an exponential rate." The strategy went beyond simple deception. Every piece of misinformation was a strategic trap designed to guide the alien intelligence towards specific conclusions. Reports suggested internal conflicts between major world powers. Leaked documents hinted at outdated military technologies. Intercepted communications painted a picture of a fractured, technologically backward civilization. Dr. Maria Santos, an expert in xenopsychology, had spent years studying potential alien communication patterns. "The key is to understand their cognitive biases," she explained to her team. The Zarkax have conquered hundreds of civilizations. Their intelligence networks are designed to seek out patterns of weakness, and humanity was about to give them exactly what they wanted to see. Military installations around the world played their part. Some bases appeared to be in various states of disrepair. Communication networks showed intentional inefficiencies. Satellite systems were partially obscured, giving the impression of limited technological capabilities. In orbit, specially designed communication arrays broadcast carefully modulated signals. Each transmission was a masterpiece of misdirection, containing just enough truth to seem authentic, but ultimately leading the Zarkax towards a completely false understanding of human capabilities. "It's like building a perfect illusion," Director Reyes explained to Colonel Jack Hartley during a briefing. "We're not hiding our capabilities. We're actively constructing a narrative of weakness." The psychological warfare went deeper than simple misinformation. Social media networks, carefully manipulated by advanced AI systems, created entire conversation ecosystems that suggested human technological limitations. Forum discussions, seemingly organic, reinforced the narrative of a divided, technologically struggling civilization. Dr. Cohen pulled up a complex algorithmic display. "Watch how the information propagates," he said, showing the intricate way false narratives spread across global communication networks. Zarkak's intelligence algorithms would find exactly what they were looking for: a civilization ripe for conquest. They would see internal conflicts, technological limitations, a planet divided against itself. Every piece of information would confirm their existing biases about conquered civilizations. They had no idea they were walking into a perfectly constructed trap. As the sun set over the Washington, D.C. skyline, the Global Misinformation Command Center continued its silent work. Quantum computers processed millions of communication streams. AI systems managed intricate networks of false information. Every signal, every transmission was a carefully placed piece of a much larger strategic puzzle. The Zarkaks believed they were approaching a vulnerable planet. They were about to learn how wrong they could be. The first wave of Zarkak ships emerged from faster-than-light transit with surgical precision. Grand Archon Krilltax watched from the flagship's command deck, his multiple eyes scanning the approaching blue-green planet with predatory anticipation. Thousands of vessels stretched behind his primary command ship, a metallic constellation of destruction that had brought countless civilizations to their knees. "Initiate standard conquest protocol," Krilltax commanded, his voice a guttural mix of clicks and resonant undertones. Across the vast expanse of space, the invasion fleet began its approach. Weapons systems charged, planetary bombardment algorithms activated. The Zarkaks had perfected this moment across hundreds of conquered worlds. First, overwhelm. Then, subjugate. They were about to learn that Earth was nothing like their previous conquests. In the Global Defense Command Center, Colonel Jack Hartley watched the incoming fleet with calculated calm. "Initiate defensive protocols," he said quietly. The response was instantaneous, and unlike anything the Zarkaks had ever encountered. Quantum-encrypted viruses erupted across the alien communication networks. Not simple computer viruses, but adaptive algorithmic entities that moved like living intelligence. They didn't just infiltrate systems, they understood them, analyzed them, and began systematically dismantling them from the inside out. The first Zarkak ships began to experience impossible failures. Navigation systems collapsed. Weapon arrays shut down. Communication networks fragmented into incomprehensible noise. Dr. Emily Rodriguez monitored the defensive systems, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. "Nanite swarms are engaging," she reported. Microscopic machines, each no larger than a human blood cell, began their orchestrated attack. They didn't simply destroy. They analyzed, adapted, and transformed. A shield generator would suddenly become a point of total system failure. A weapon array would convert its own energy into a destructive feedback loop. On the Zarkak's flagship, confusion turned to panic. "Impossible," screamed a junior command officer as entire squadrons of ships began to simply collapse. Not explode, not burn. Simply disintegrate into clouds of molecular dust. Grand Archon Krilltax watched in mounting horror as his invasion fleet, a force that had conquered hundreds of civilizations, began to unravel with mathematical precision. Captain Rosa Gonzalez managed the global defensive network, her movements surgical and calm. "Defensive grid at 98% efficiency," she reported to Colonel Hartley. "Adaptive systems are performing beyond projected parameters." Each destroyed Zarkak ship became a learning opportunity for humanity's defensive systems. The nanite swarms collected data, updated their collective intelligence, became more efficient with each interaction. What would have been a defensive action transformed into a calculated offensive strategy. The quantum communication network that humanity had developed was more than a communication system. It was a living, breathing, intelligent network that could predict, counter, and neutralize threats before they fully materialized. Dr. Marcus Chen watched the battle unfold from the research facility in Nevada. "It's not just technology," he muttered. "It's a completely different approach to conflict." Across the planet, hidden defense platforms began to activate. What appeared to be standard communication satellites transformed. Energy dispersal systems powered up. Molecular reconfiguration networks came online. Each platform was a node in a global defensive grid that was more organic than mechanical. The Zarkax had expected a quick conquest. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that didn't just defend. An enemy that learned, adapted, and transformed with each microsecond of conflict. Grand Archean Krilltax realized the fundamental error in their invasion strategy. This was not a primitive civilization waiting to be conquered. This was something entirely different. Retreat. He finally commanded, but it was too late. The first wave of the invasion was over, and humanity had not just survived. They had demonstrated a level of technological and strategic capability that would send shockwaves through the entire galactic community. In the Global Defense Command Center, Colonel Hartley allowed himself the slightest smile. The message was clear. Earth was not a target. Earth was a warning. The global communication network erupted with a precision that defied conventional understanding. Humanity's message would be heard across every known galactic frequency, a broadcast that would redefine the concept of first contact. Director Helena Reyes stood in the primary communication hub, her fingers hovering over quantum-encrypted interfaces. "Broadcast sequence initiated," she announced, her voice calm and resolute. The message was not a threat. It was a clinical demonstration of technological supremacy. Colonel Jack Hartley's voice cut through alien communication bands, delivering a transmission that would be remembered throughout galactic history. Each word was carefully calculated. Each technical detail a psychological weapon designed to instill a mixture of awe and terror. To the Zarkax hegemony, the broadcast began. "We present a comprehensive analysis of your invasion attempt." What followed was nothing short of a technological autopsy. The transmission detailed precisely how each Zarkax ship was destroyed, how their communication systems were compromised, how their most advanced technologies were turned into instruments of their own defeat. It wasn't boasting. It was a clinical, almost academic deconstruction of their entire invasion strategy. Dr. Emily Rodriguez worked alongside a team of linguists and communication specialists. Every word was chosen with surgical precision. The goal was not to intimidate, but to demonstrate a level of technological and strategic understanding that would fundamentally challenge the Zarkax's perception of technological capability. "We're not just communicating," Dr. Marcus Chen explained to the team. "We're reshaping their entire conceptual understanding of technological warfare." The broadcast included detailed schematics of how the nanite swarms had systematically dismantled their fleet. Quantum communication network diagrams showed how their most secure communication channels were penetrated and analyzed in microseconds. Energy dispersion patterns revealed how their most advanced weapon systems were converted into points of total system failure. Each piece of information was a carefully constructed psychological weapon. Captain Rosa Gonzalez monitored the galactic communication bands. "Zarkax communication networks are in complete disarray," she reported. "They're attempting to process our transmission, but their cognitive frameworks can't comprehend the level of technological detail." The psychological impact was intentional. Humanity was not just defending itself, it was sending a message to every civilization that might consider aggression. Dr. Maria Santos, the xenopsychology expert, had spent years preparing for this moment. "The key is to demonstrate capability without appearing overtly aggressive," she explained. "We're showing them that we're not just a potential threat. We're a completely different paradigm of technological existence." The transmission continued, breaking down the invasion attempt with mathematical precision. It wasn't just a report of defense. It was a comprehensive deconstruction of the Zarkax's entire strategic approach. Across research facilities, military installations, and communication centers around the globe, teams watched the broadcast with a mixture of professional pride and strategic calculation. Grand Archean Krilltax received the transmission on the remnants of his flagship. What he heard was not a declaration of war. It was an academic dissection of failure so complete, so precise, that it challenged everything the Zarkax understood about technological warfare. The final moments of the transmission were perhaps the most chilling. "This is not a threat," Colonel Hartley's voice concluded. "This is an invitation to understand. Humanity is not your enemy. We are a new paradigm of technological and strategic existence." In communication centers across the galaxy, civilizations paused. The transmission was being analyzed, studied, shared. It was more than a defense against invasion. It was a fundamental redefinition of what technological capability could mean. Dr. Rodriguez looked at her team. "We're not just defending," she said quietly. "We're communicating on an entirely new level." The message was clear. Earth was not a target to be conquered. Earth was a warning to anyone who might consider aggression against humanity. The counteroffensive began with a silence more terrifying than any weapon. Deep within the most secure Zarkax military installations, quantum-entangled navigation systems activated. These were not traditional invasion methods. This was something entirely different, a surgical strike that would redefine the concept of technological warfare. Colonel Jack Hartley studied the holographic display in the Global Strategic Command Center. "Infiltration teams are in position," he reported, his voice calm and measured. Dr. Emily Rodriguez adjusted a complex quantum communication interface. Each member of the infiltration team was more than a soldier. They were living, breathing technological conduits, human-machine hybrid operatives, equipped with the most advanced neural link systems ever developed. The first strike team materialized with impossible precision, not through traditional transportation, but through quantum entanglement protocols that allowed them to essentially become information, then reassemble at their target location. Military installations that were considered impenetrable became vulnerable in ways the Zarkax could never have anticipated. Major Michael Chen led the primary infiltration unit. His neural implants connected him to a global network that processed information faster than any biological or artificial system could comprehend. "Primary targets identified," he reported, his consciousness simultaneously present in multiple systems. Nanite swarms began their systematic deconstruction. But this was more than simple destruction. Each nanite was a data collector, an adaptive intelligence that could understand and repurpose alien technologies at the molecular level. In the Nevada Research Facility, Dr. Marcus Chen watched the operation unfold. "It's not about destroying their technology," he explained to his team. "It's about understanding it, transforming it." Zarkax defensive systems began to fail in ways that defied their understanding. Weapon platforms turned against their own infrastructure. Communication networks became channels of total system collapse. Each infiltrated system became a node in humanity's expanding technological network. Captain Rosa Gonzalez managed the global coordination, her fingers dancing across quantum-encrypted interfaces. "We're not just neutralizing," she reported. "We're learning, adapting, transforming." The infiltration went beyond military installations, research centers, communication hubs, energy production facilities. Each became a target of a systematic technological transformation. The Zarkax watched in mounting horror as their most secure systems were not just compromised, but fundamentally redesigned. Grand Arction Krilltax received fragmented reports of total system failure. Entire military complexes were becoming unrecognizable. Technologies that had been the backbone of Zarkax military might were being systematically repurposed. Dr. Maria Santos, the xenopsychology expert, explained the deeper strategy. "We're not just attacking their technology," she said. "We're demonstrating a fundamental difference in technological approach. Destruction is primitive. Transformation is advanced." Neural-linked operatives moved through secure facilities like living information streams. They didn't just gather intelligence. They rewrote entire technological paradigms. Weapon systems became communication networks. Defense platforms transformed into energy distribution systems. The counteroffensive was a symphony of technological adaptation. Major Chen's team reached the primary Zarkax technological research complex. What would have been a traditional military target became something else entirely. Nanite swarms began their most complex operation yet, complete technological rehabilitation. We're offering them a choice, Colonel Hartley explained during the mission briefing. Not subjugation, not destruction, transformation. Entire military complexes began to change. Technologies that had been used for conquest were being systematically repurposed. Weapon research facilities became centers of collaborative technological development. Communication networks that had been designed for military control transformed into open information platforms. The Zarkak's leadership watched in a mixture of terror and incomprehension. This was not a traditional counterattack. This was a fundamental reimagining of technological potential. As the operation concluded, the message was clear. Humanity was not just defending itself. It was offering a new paradigm of technological existence, a paradigm that began with understanding, not destruction. A paradigm that could transform enemies into potential collaborators. The negotiation chamber was unlike any diplomatic space in galactic history. Located in a neutral orbital station, it was a testament to humanity's approach to conflict resolution, a blend of technological marvel and psychological precision. Grand Archon Krilltax entered with what remained of his leadership council. Their once proud posture was now marked by a mixture of defeat and reluctant curiosity. Across the table sat a delegation led by Colonel Jack Hartley and Dr. Emily Rodriguez, representing humanity with a calm that bordered on the unsettling. "You have two options," Colonel Hartley began, his voice calm and clinical. "Complete transformation or complete irrelevance." The terms were not a threat. They were a surgical diagnosis of the Zarkax's current situation. Dr. Maria Santos, the xenopsychology expert, had spent months preparing for this moment. Every word, every gesture was calculated to demonstrate not dominance, but a fundamentally different approach to interstellar relations. The first condition was total demilitarization. But this was not traditional disarmament. Humanity proposed a comprehensive technological rehabilitation program. Zarkak's military research facilities would be transformed into collaborative research centers. Weapon development systems would be redirected towards solving complex galactic challenges. "We're not asking you to surrender," Dr. Rodriguez explained, pulling up holographic displays that showed potential technological collaborations. "We're offering you a path to relevance." Captain Rosa Gonzalez managed the communication protocols, ensuring that every transmission was precisely calibrated. The quantum communication network allowed for instantaneous, multilayered communication that conveyed far more than simple words. Dr. Marcus Chen presented the technological oversight proposal. It was not a restriction, but an invitation to a new paradigm of technological development. Zarkak systems would be integrated into a broader galactic research network. Every technological advancement would be shared, analyzed, developed collaboratively. Grand Archon Krilltax struggled to comprehend the proposal. In hundreds of previous conquests, negotiations meant subjugation. This was something entirely different. The second condition addressed the Zarkax's fundamental approach to galactic expansion. No more conquests. No more resource extraction through force. Instead, a cooperative framework that would allow technological and cultural exchange. "Your current model of galactic interaction is obsolete," Colonel Hartley stated. "We're offering you a choice between evolution and extinction." Holographic displays showed potential collaborative projects, technological solutions to complex galactic challenges, resource management strategies that didn't rely on conquest, communication networks that could transform entire civilizations. Dr. Santos watched the Zarkak's leadership carefully. "This is not punishment," she explained. "This is an opportunity for fundamental transformation." The negotiation was a performance of technological and psychological mastery. Humanity wasn't just offering terms. They were demonstrating a completely different approach to interstellar relations. Quantum communication networks allowed for instantaneous translation and multilayered communication. Every word carried multiple levels of meaning. Technical details were woven into psychological reassurances. Technological proposals became statements of potential collaboration. Grand Archon Krilltax realized the fundamental shift. This was not a traditional negotiation. This was an invitation to a completely new way of existing. The final terms were presented with surgical precision. Complete technological transparency, participation in collaborative research networks, redirection of military resources towards collective galactic challenges, full integration into a new interstellar cooperative framework. "You have survived by conquering," Dr. Rodriguez said quietly. "We're offering you a chance to survive by creating." The negotiation was more than a diplomatic meeting. It was a fundamental reimagining of interstellar potential. Krilltax looked at the human delegation. For the first time in the Zarkax's long history of galactic conquest, they were not the conquerors. They were being offered a chance to become something more. 6 months after the negotiations, the galaxy watched in a mixture of fascination and apprehension. The transformation of the Zarkax was nothing short of revolutionary. What was once a conquering empire had become a collaborative research network. Former military installations now housed joint scientific initiatives that were solving challenges that had plagued galactic civilizations for centuries. Dr. Emily Rodriguez stood in the primary research complex that was once a Zarkax military stronghold. Around her, scientists from multiple species worked together, their differences becoming strengths rather than barriers. "It's not about changing them," she explained to a group of visiting galactic diplomats. "It's about showing them a different possibility of existence." Colonel Jack Hartley oversaw the broader strategic implementation. The global defense network that had once prepared for invasion was now a collaborative technological platform. Quantum communication networks became channels of unprecedented scientific and cultural exchange. Dr. Marcus Chen worked closely with Zarkax technological experts, developing solutions to complex galactic challenges, climate stabilization projects, resource management strategies, interstellar communication networks that could bridge previously isolated civilizations. Captain Rosa Gonzalez managed the diplomatic integration, her expertise in communication protocols proving crucial. The quantum networks they had developed became more than communication channels. They were bridges between different ways of thinking, different approaches to existence. The first major collaborative project addressed a long-standing galactic environmental crisis. A dying star system that had been considered impossible to save became a testament to collaborative technological potential. Zarkax energy manipulation technologies, combined with human adaptive engineering, created solutions that no single civilization could have developed alone. Dr. Maria Santos documented the psychological transformation. It wasn't just technological change. It was a fundamental shift in how civilizations could interact. "We didn't defeat them," she wrote in her groundbreaking research paper. "We offered them a different path." Galactic response was complex. Some civilizations watched with hope, others with suspicion, but no one could ignore the fundamental shift that humanity had introduced. The Zarkax themselves were unrecognizable. Grand Archon Krilltax, now leading collaborative research initiatives, spoke at an interstellar conference about the transformation. "We thought conquest was strength," he explained. "We now understand that collaboration is true power." Research facilities that were once weapons development centers now tackled some of the most complex challenges facing galactic civilizations. Technological platforms developed to destroy now work to create. Communication networks designed for military control became channels of unprecedented scientific exchange. Dr. Rodriguez reflected on the journey. The defense systems they had developed were never about destruction. They were about protection, about creating a space for potential. The global defense network that humanity had built became the foundation of a new galactic collaborative framework. Not a military alliance, not a conquering force, but a platform for collective potential. Unexpected partnerships emerged. The precise nanite technologies developed for defense became medical breakthroughs. Quantum communication networks developed to protect became channels for unprecedented cultural exchange. Colonel Hartley reviewed the strategic reports. They had done more than defend Earth. They had introduced a new paradigm of interstellar interaction. "We're not just protecting ourselves," he told his team. "We're showing what's possible." The final report from the Interstellar Collaborative Council was unequivocal. The human approach had not just transformed the Zarkax. It was transforming how civilizations understood themselves. Dr. Santos captured the essence of their approach in her final recommendation. Strength is not about the ability to destroy. It's about the capacity to create, to understand, to transform. As the first year of collaboration concluded, the galaxy watched. What humanity had done was more than a military victory. It was a fundamental reimagining of potential. They had not conquered. They had opened a door to a different way of existing.